Okay, it's recording.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kathleen Hassler, a board member with HAIDA, the Hawaii branch of the International Dyslexia Association. HAIDA is proud to host and bring you tonight's event on how digital text technology can facilitate, support, and enhance opportunities for learning. We are very pleased you're joining us for this evening and this opportunity to better understand digital tools as a powerful means to greater literacy development. We are grateful to Mr. John Pennington, our presenter this evening, for sharing his knowledge and expertise to empower learners who struggle with reading and writing skills. Before I formally introduce Mr. Pennington, I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our members, donors, and sponsors for their support in bringing events like this free webinar to our community. Your support allows us to help increase awareness of dyslexia, provide support for individuals with dyslexia to their families and educators, promote teacher training, and improve literacy for struggling readers. Very special thanks also goes to Margaret Haiga, HAIDA's Executive Director, and Dr. Kavita Rao, fellow HAIDA board member and Associate Professor at College of Education, University of Hawaii at Manoa. We appreciate her expertise and help in facilitating tonight's webinar. Some additional logistics we'd like to point out include your audio video has been turned off, and we kindly ask that everyone keep their audio and video off throughout this presentation so that we may provide a clear webinar experience. You can put your questions in the chat box where Dr. Rao will monitor and Mr. Pennington will periodically respond. It is now my honor to introduce our presenter, Mr. John Pennington. John Pennington has presented at numerous conferences, conducted dozens of workshops, and coordinated several international student exchange programs. He is currently pursuing a PhD in learning design and technology at the University of Hawaii while working as the instructional technology specialist at Assets School. Mr. Pennington will be offering specific strategies and providing demonstrations of various digital tools to enhance and support literacy skills. I will now turn it over to John and Kavita.
Good evening, everyone. John Pennington. I just wanted to begin by sharing that I work at Asset School with kids that a whole bunch of diverse kids, and I work with them for everything from reading and writing and 3D printing. We make animations together. We make movies, and we do computer programming. It's a lot of fun. I work with them to support their strengths, develop their interests, and explore curiosities. And the process is incredibly rewarding. Each of these kids is so bright and so talented, and it really makes my job just wonderful each and every day. This is a photo from not too long ago. We took a trip to the Apple store in Ala Moana, and we worked with some of the people at the Genius Bar to learn how to use iMovie. So the presentation today is organized around 4 areas. The first area we're going to cover pretty briefly on the importance and the issues of literacy. Then we're going to go into technology solutions. This is going to be the main component of the presentation tonight. And then we're going to talk about 3 general strategies for reading, which I think you're going to be interested in. They've really helped me and the students I work with. And then lastly, there'll be a time for questions on anything that you saw. So I'm going to be bumping around a little bit for the presentation here. This is my first time giving a presentation while sitting down. So it's a little bit different. I'm a pretty active guy. I wanted to begin by just sharing the great importance of literacy and how it's the part that it plays in our lives, from communication, expressing oneself and persuading people to learning and being able to build upon our learning and store and share information. It's as you think of how you use literacy in your day, each and every day, it's tremendously powerful. In recognizing all of the importance of literacy, we can see that literacy can be a gatekeeper in certain ways. I work with, I mentioned kids at Asset School, and a number of them have language-based learning challenges that kind of cause them to experience challenges in these different areas. And I work with them to kind of overcome those challenges. So anything from getting into college and pursuing higher education to advancing in careers and personal growth. I think if you're here today, you know someone that that may have literacy challenges and some of these areas that they've experienced challenges in. So as part of my presentation, I hope to share with you some strategies and some technologies that will be able to help people as they help my students. So we're going to focus today on reading and reading on mobile devices, and how basically literacy requires reading and how we can read on these devices. We're going to look at apps that are available on both Android and iOS. At the school I work with, it's an iPad school, so every kid has an iPad. So I'm most familiar with iOS, though I bought an Android phone at one point, and so I'm somewhat familiar with it. I heard the Notes and the Galaxies are pretty good, and I welcome anyone that has Android phones to kind of put their feedback in the chat of how their experience is. I think I might switch back to Android just to see how it's going. So with reading and within the skill of reading, this is what they call the Big Five, which are the components that contribute to reading ability. And this was put out by the National Reading Panel. It was a big meta-analysis of major empirical studies that kind of studied reading and what contributed to the success of reading. And there were these 5 areas. So as part of this presentation, I kind of hope to see how digital text can support reading skill development, specifically by looking at some of those areas. What's really cool is all the new digital technologies are coming out and how they work with our brains and how they can extend the abilities that we have and in different ways. Some exciting technologies I'm just going to share with you in a minute, but we can view these technologies as accommodations, and that's kind of, it's how the person's learning and keeping the what the same. So it doesn't change what they're learning, but basically how they're going about the learning process. And the goal of looking at technology as accommodations is to basically get to the end result with less struggle. And just some basic examples that we kind of use each day, I know I'm very thankful for, is the calculator and how we can go through these long equations in a much less struggling way with a calculator. And then with our phones and having contact lists, there's so much information that we get from people we meet, where they work, what they do, what their phone number is, and having contact lists on our phone really allows us to recall information about the people we meet and the people we reach out to in a much easier way than storing it the traditional method. When we look at literacy, a great example of accommodation is Audible. Audible offers audiobooks, and there's this whole a lot of research around using your ear to read, reading with your ear, as opposed to reading with your eyes. This is the cover of the Audible website, and it says, "Listening is the new reading." I was really excited to see this. I love audiobooks. I love listening to reading. And there's really a gaining acceptability and a gaining love for appreciating books in this way. So we talked a little bit about accommodations, which actually it changes the way in which we get to the end. I wanted to talk a little bit, just briefly, about intervention, which is basically focusing on a specific need, a specific area of need in reading. For instance, if someone isn't very fluent at reading, targeting that need and kind of helping them become a better reader by targeting fluency, for instance. And when you look at interventions, usually a formalized program done with instruction. There's one example I just wanted to talk about, which is repeated reading, which is targeted at improving fluency. It involves students reading a passage multiple times and then trying to help them read at a certain level of fluency. A technology that really works with the that reading program is text-to-speech, and that's when it reads and highlights aloud as the student can read the text. And some research studies show how this text-to-speech supplements and kind of supports repeated reading that program. So here we can see how text-to-speech can be used as an intervention to help the fluency of reading. What was really cool is another study examined that the effects, the benefits of using text-to-speech transferred to kids that were reading the printed materials after. So they were able to build their vocabulary. They were able to build some of the fluency in reading from the use of the technologies, and then transfer it to printed text. I just saw this really funny movie the other day, Jumanji. I don't know if anyone has seen it. Welcome to kind of put anything in the chat, that reactions. It's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. Jack Black in the movie actually is, it's like a bunch of kids get trapped in this game, this video game. I'm not going to reveal too much in the movie, but one of the characters is a girl, a teenage girl, and she gets trapped in Jack Black's body, basically. So as part of this movie, they have character profiles, and the character profiles involve different strengths and weaknesses. And I love that part of the movie because the characters were able to, they came into challenges, and based on their strengths and weaknesses, they had to react accordingly. And if they didn't, then they went down, they experienced a downfall. So if we look at this character, this is it's a Professor Shelley, something, I forget his name, Professor Shelley. But basically, he has a weakness in silent reading. So when we're thinking about the text-to-speech technology, that would match his learning profile. So it would help him. And there's some studies that have been on that, how text-to-speech greatly helps people that have a weakness in silent reading. But if we look at another character, also from Jumanji, which is also another hilarious character, one of my favorite actors, who has a strength of smoldering intensity. He's kind of demonstrating it in the photo, and has absolutely no weaknesses when it comes to reading. If we try to implement some text-to-speech technology with him, studies have shown that reading comprehension actually lessens. It interferes with reading comprehension. So it's really important to consider the learning profiles of different people when applying different interventions and accommodations. So what we're going to be looking at is digital text. And when we're talking about accommodations and interventions, we're going to be looking at how digital text can provide these within the realm of literacy. As you can see here, digital text is pretty simply text on an electronic screen. It could be a TV, iPad, computer, phone. And it's special compared to its cousin, printed text, in a number of ways, which we're going to take a look at. Two of the most different ways are that it's flexible and it's hyper, and that digital environments that are built around digital text can be manipulated in order to increase readability and kind of show that content in ways where printed text can't. So we're going to go into now the technologies, and I'm going to talk about several apps here, two which are very similar. I'm going to kind of address them in the same realm, which are the Kindle app and the iBooks app. Kindle is available on Android and iOS. iBooks is just for iOS, but again, they're very similar in the way they work. The other app that we're going to look at is VoiceStream. VoiceStream is for Android and iOS, and it is similar. It's a reader app. And then lastly, Learning Ally.
John, I'm going to just jump in to give you a little
Sure.
bit of a break and let people know that John has this presentation and a handout available for all of you to access. And I've put that URL of John's in the text box. So if any of you also want to follow along with John on the presentation and the handout that he has made as well, will give you all of the information he's about to tell you about these three apps.
Thanks, Kavita. Yes, the handout, I compare these in different ways, and the handout really outlines that to get a better understanding. This is a quick overview, just main features. I put a table here. Well, we can get into it more in just a minute. I have some screenshots that I prepared for you guys. But at a glance here, if we look at that Kindle and iPad or iBooks app, it's a free app. The benefit that the Kindle app allows is for $9 a month, you have access to 1.4 million titles. It's, what is it called? Kindle Unlimited. And it's this virtual store where you can get books. Some of the best-selling books you do have to pay a little extra for, so you don't just get them for free. But it's different than the iBook store, which is basically you can get some stuff for free, or you have to pay for money. But that is free. iBooks reads EPUB format, and Kindle reads MOBI format. And I'm going to show you in a little bit how you can get those not only from the libraries but from online. One of the cool things about the Kindle app is this thing called Whisper Sync. I used to use it a while ago. I haven't used it recently, but what it allows you to do is switch between audiobook version and the text version of the book, and that's part of the subscription to the Kindle library, Kindle Unlimited. So that's worth checking out. I think I'm going to revisit that Whisper Sync. It's great technology. If we look at so just generally speaking, the iBooks and the Kindle app, they really excel in the visualization of books. If we bump over one column and we look at, that's Learning Ally. So Learning Ally excels in the audio aspect. It's a paid subscription, and you actually have to have special eligibility, similar to Bookshare, where you have a print disability, or some type of special needs that you can have access to that app. And the subscription is different based on a lot of school subscriptions, or you can get a homeschool subscription. So I didn't put a price up there. It's best to just contact the company. But it provides a library of 70,000 books, which are naturally read to you by professional readers, similar to like Audible, for instance. And it also allows you to see the text, like the text-to-speech, where it's highlighted as those professional readers are reading to you, which is really cool. And then lastly is we have VoiceStream here. VoiceStream, it's a about $12. The price fluctuates sometimes in the App Store, but it accesses Bookshare, which again you can get if you have special eligibility with language-based learning challenges. But the Bookshare library is huge. 145,000 books is the number I got. And you can really import a wide variety of different formats. So VoiceStream, this last column, really excels on, it's kind of a mesh of the visual and the audio, and really provides the greatest level of customization. It provides natural sounding voices that you have to buy like an edition, but once you find the voice you like, it's really cool. We're going to listen to a voice in just a little bit. I just want to show you real quick. Here's a slide. There are a number of websites, and if you know of any of these, I'd love if you can paste them in the chat to kind of share with the group, where you can download ebooks and then import them into iBooks or VoiceStream or the Kindle app, for instance. And this is one called ManyBooks. These are, they're just authors that have put out books. And this is a book featured, Warbreaker. This is a book I'm currently reading right now. It's tremendously long, and I've been reading it for probably about a year. And and it's amazing. This author also is incredible. It's good young adult fiction and adult fiction, and it's about this author really excels in building world building and magic systems, and it's kind of epic fantasies. Anyway, you can download books like this. This is a best-selling book that the authors put out from websites like these in iBook or Mobi format. Email it to yourself and then open it in iBooks. And this is what kind of it looks like. You kind of attach to EPUB, and then you can open it in iBooks. So it just provides another method in order to access different books as opposed to just the libraries. You're not limited to just the libraries that Kindle and iBooks provide. This is VoiceStream. So VoiceStream's import area, you can import into VoiceStream by so many different sources. I highlight their Bookshare because I think we saw back there 150,000 different books. And you can also import from Evernote. Evernote, I don't know if you've ever experienced, if you ever used Chrome with the Evernote web clipper. It allows you to kind of clip web pages in article format and then have them, you can import them into VoiceStream and play them from there. Also connects to Google Drive. So if you want to play any of your documents, Dropbox, it's really customizable and offers a lot of support sources. This is what our Learning Allies library looks like. And this is kind of a shared account that I use as part of my school. And as you can see here highlighted is voice text. Voice text means that it will highlight as it's read, and it's an actual person reading it. Whereas classic audio, certain books are available in just audiobook format. It just plays the audio and doesn't show the reading as it is spoken. So in this next part, we're going to take a look at the apps that we've kind of been talking about through a lens which kind of talks about the different support types that these apps offer. And I've broken them into four different categories. This is from a typology of resources. There's about 20 different categories, but these four are really present within a lot of the reading applications that are being developed. And so it really provides some clear examples of how these are helping readers. So just a quick overview of the four different types of support kind of available for digital text. The first is presentational. We know this. You can change the font, the size, the style, background color, layout, graphics. Navigational is basically you can jump to different sections of the book, table of contents. You can search for a phrase that you maybe remember reading, but then you don't remember exactly where it was in the book. You can jump right back to that section. Menus. So navigational helps us kind of move through the book if we get lost as to where we were. Translational. This is a feature that allows you to click on words, get synonyms, definitions of a word if you're not sure what it means, have it read to you through text-to-speech. We spoke a bit about that already. There's certain apps allow you to reduce the reading level. And then lastly, it offers text descriptions for images. And this is something that we look at Learning Ally. Learning Ally does that really well. The last category, the fourth category, is notational. And this provides the ability to basically highlight, mark up, take some notes on what you're reading, and then access those notes really easily for sharing, for reflection, for thinking about what you read. the best way to kind of look at these three apps is to look back at the handout that Kavita mentioned, and it kind of, you can see how these different apps offer features within these different categories. I'm going to go through briefly the different categories and just look at some screenshots of the different apps and really highlight how they offer these levels of support. So we'll look at presentational first. iBooks. This is a screenshot from iBooks. You can see the 4 different kind of colors there. Over here, you can choose the theme. Up here, you can adjust the brightness. Some people prefer lighter or brighter or less, and it offers a slider functionality. And then size here, small to large, and fonts. We're going to look a little bit more at these here. So the font type is really good. iBooks and Kindle offer about 10 different fonts. Here, I think there's about a little less than 10 shown. But it really, this is something that you don't have available with printed text. It really allows the reader to kind of customize and feel more comfortable with what they're reading and have control over what they're reading. Font size is really maybe one of the most crucial things. As I've lowered the font size in iBooks right there, I think there's about 10 different font sizes. You can go really big or really small. This is one of the smallest, but words can be intimidating, especially grouped in number as you see there. One of the things that you can do with adjusting font size is to show less amount of words on a page, which really makes it less intimidating, more approachable, and is often a kind of a block to people who are getting into reading. So let's jump over to Learning Ally. This is, again, this focuses more on the audio aspect. So there are some customizations. Here you can see I've lowered the word count a little bit. So this is much less amount of words on a page. There's a slider here where you could control how big or how small the words are. You have 3 different color backgrounds to choose from and text sizes. In Learning Ally, you don't have much control over the font, which was kind of disappointing when I was playing around with this. You do, however, have 3 different highlights. As it reads to you, you can choose in the color what it highlights. VoiceStream. VoiceStream, as I mentioned before, is highly customizable. You can change up here the text color to a whole color wheel of colors. Background, highlight. There's pre-selected themes that you can choose from, light and dark, or you can build your own and really change the color of every part of the document. It's really impressive. What's really nice about this, it offers 36 font types. 2 of the fonts, which are like Open Dyslexia and Dyslexie, which are fonts meant for people with dyslexia and helping them read. So I think they're weighted kind of more on the bottom. You also can make it bold or just regular here, which isn't available on the other 2 apps we looked at. One of the coolest things I liked about VoiceStream was we talked about like the amount of words on a page. So not only can you control text size, but you can control the spacing of the characters, and you can control the line spacing, and even the side margins to make them wider or kind of more full. Again, more flexibility, more personalization, more comfort to what the person likes. So this is just basically a summary slide. Just some things to think about as you're experimenting with these different supports. Firstly, think about how you can use them to make yourself more comfortable, the reading experience, and what's helping you and what's distracting you. Based on color, based on size, it can work for you, it could not. And then just lastly, just playing around with the amount of text on the screen. All right, we're going to go over into navigational support. Kavita, how are we doing with
We're good, John. You're doing great. And
Okay.
I just want to say there aren't too many questions. There is one. I'll just jump in again to give you a little bit of break from presenting. But Elizabeth asks, just as a start for upper elementary, is there one of these 3 apps you'd suggest?
Yes. I mean, I'd suggest all 3 of them. They're all the Kindle and the iBooks app. They offer a lot of options, and they're free. So definitely use them. And then voice stream. Learning Ally, if you have a school subscription, or if you can work out pricing, it provides another whole library of books you can choose from that are actual readers, like people reading. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you. And I will just jump into that. I've heard really good things about VoiceStream from students and parents who use that. So I will put a plug in for that too. Okay.
Great. So navigational, basically how to get around. Quick look at iBooks here. We have the table of contents. This is the cover of the book I told you I've been reading for probably about a year now, which I highly recommend. The table of contents, we can jump to that, jump through the different chapters really easily. We can also resume where we left off. You can always go back to where you were. Great at remembering where the person was reading. Constantly surprises me. I can look up with the magnifying glass up here, if I remember phrasing, if I remembered flickering candle, but I couldn't remember where my place was, I can do that. I can take bookmarks here by just pressing that button. And then you can always go back and forward. You can swipe left and right with the pages. And then here, this button up here brings you back to table of contents. One of the cool features of a lot of these apps, especially with iBooks, is you can do kind of infinite scrolling. So if you want to kind of just scroll down as you're reading, or if you want to go by pages and kind of flip left and right, it offers different ways to interact with the navigation. Here's a quick look at Learning Ally. Not only do you have a table of contents, but you can jump to the specific page number. By clicking on any of these, you can it'll bring down page 1, page 2, page 3, and then you can jump to that specific page. It also offers, as we saw in the other one, by chapter, which is nice. This is Ender's Game, very popular book, sci-fi. Here's VoiceStream. Navigational support. This is, again, tremendous, the options. You can see here, by clicking here, there's an overlay of where you can jump from chapter to chapter. You can also, with the magnifying glass, search by, you remember, a segment of text. You can also change what this button does. So this is a left and right button. So you can basically change what that button does if you want to jump 60 seconds in the future, if you want to jump by paragraph, jump by heading. I have it set to jump by paragraph, so I can kind of just jump to the next paragraph if I want. Or you can jump to the next highlight. Offers that flexibility. When considering navigational support and just working with kids, how they can use these to stay where they want to be and not get lost, and sometimes there's a lot of buttons, and not to treat them as distractions, but to treat them as resources for where they want to get in the text. Translational support.
So John, I'm just going to jump in and add that,
yes.
Just because I know you said to jump in when there's things to say, but
Yeah.
one of the things with any of the supports that John has shown so far and that he's going to continue showing, the navigational and the presentational and the translational, one thing that I do with students when I work with them is sometimes kids learn things really quickly on technology. We all know that. They can find anything, and they're like 10 steps ahead of us. So that's good. But one thing that I sometimes do, and depending on the age level, I work with the kids to talk about which supports helps them. So sometimes making it explicit and having a conversation and you can make it a fun activity. Show them some of the supports and say, do you like this or do you not like this? And give them a chance to articulate, oh yeah, I like the screen looking like this, and this is how I'll do that. Because there are so many options sometimes. We don't want to assume that the students will find them and kind of know which one helps them. So sometimes just having a quick conversation about these different supports in whatever app you're using gives the student that metacognitive ability to know that, oh, I like this the last time, so I'll do it again when I'm reading another book. So I just wanted to put that in, that sometimes having that explicit conversation with kids with different features, and sometimes I even do it over time. So I don't go through all the features in one sitting, but I might work with a child to pick some things that they like doing, or some ways that they like to manipulate the text one time, and then the next time we read together, we might pick some other features. But it's just making that explicit connection to them of, oh, this works for me, this helps me, so I can do it again the next time I use this digital text tool.
Thank you. For each of the supports, thinking like that really is helpful. With translational support, this is really the most important one that's been tied in with fluency and being able to read, the rate and the recognition of words. So here's, under translation, we have the ability to speak different words. I just pasted here. You can see that like a typical text versus here is like e-text, where we have digital text here, and it really the options that you have so much more than if you were just had a page. So from here you can get a quick definition of a word. Sometimes you can get it in context, and the apps offer a definition in context and synonyms, which are really nice. Here's the iBooks translational support. Highlight any word. Here's what it looks like in Learning Ally. You can just quickly look it up, and it offers a little pop-up. And then the coolest thing, which we've been talking about so much, is the text-to-speech aspect. I put in some demos of, here it is. This is the text-to-speech within VoiceStream. And I'm going to play it here. This is just, again, VoiceStream offers that collection of actual people reading, which is something that the other two apps don't have. Here goes. This is Learning Ally.
Is the optimum environment for creativity. It was his ideas we wanted, not the, never mind, I don't have to defend myself to you. Then why are you doing it? She did not ask. But he's slacking off. He's coasting. We want to push him forward, and he won't go. Maybe I'd be doing Ender a favor if I told you to go stuff yourself. You've already helped me. You can help me more. Write to him. Promise you won't cut out anything I write. I won't promise any such thing. Then forget it.
I'm just going to pause it, but you can kind of hear what it's like. This is an actual person reading, as opposed to the other apps. iBooks, which offers the built-in iOS, is kind of robotic voice. We'll look over here at the next. Let me jump to the next slide, and we'll look at VoiceStream. Here's a quick, so under VoiceStream, you can see here's what the definitions look like. So right click, I'm using the, what is it? Is it one of the dyslexic fonts? And this is Sharon's voice. This is the voice that I like best personally for VoiceStream. I prefer the British English female voice. But depending on the text you get, whatever language it is, they have voices for those languages, which is really cool. You can adjust the speech rate. You can adjust the speech rate for the other one that we just looked at, the Learning Ally as well. So it's a natural sounding voice. I mean, it's actually a person's voice, and you can just kind of up the speed of it, and it works pretty well. Here's what VoiceStream sounds like. This is actually cool too. If you want an extra little pause while it's reading between sentences, VoiceStream allows that pause. This is Sharon's voice. It's about $3 on VoiceStream.
Many of the painted buildings did clash, but none of it was sloppy. There was a sense of craftsmanship and art to everything, from the storefronts to the people to the statues of mighty soldiers that frequently stood on corners. It was terribly overwhelming. Garish. A vibrant, enthusiastic garishness. Sari found herself smiling, her hair turning a tentative blonde, though she felt a headache coming on. Maybe this is why Father sent me.
I'm gonna pause it here. So this is voice stream. This is the voice Sharon, and as you can see, it's not a human. It's a human sounding voice, but it's not an actual person reading. Whereas that's what Learning Ally offers.
I'll just jump in there to say that that's a huge preference for people. Sometimes I teach college students, and I sometimes have them play around with different things and listen to the voices. And some people hate the computerized voice, and they really want the human voice. And others, they're like, oh, it's okay if it sounds kind of computerized. So that's something you might also want to see. Some people will just stop using the voice if it's computerized and they don't like it. So if you're working with a child who just refuses to use it, maybe check and see what's going on there. Do they not like the voice? Is there something you can do to change even that voice can make a big difference?
Yeah, definitely, Kavita. Being, I shared with you, I love audiobooks, and Audible has these narrators, which are incredible storytellers. And then when I can't find a book on Audible and I want to listen to it with this, it's kind of hard. Learning Ally offers the kind of in-between where maybe the storyteller isn't a masterful storyteller, but it's a real sounding voice, and it'll offer highlights as you read it if you want that. So again, just some things to think about when you're looking at the translational supports. It's great for reading practice. If you're trying to target a specific aspect of reading in the form of like an intervention, and you can use this technology, these supports. And as Kavita mentioned earlier, it's really important to see which kind of experiment and metacognitively think about what's helping you and what's don't, and not use the things that are not helping you and use the ones that are. This is the last category. We're going to quickly look at the 3 apps. This is basically note-taking on the different apps. It most helps comprehension. Basically, this is iBooks. You can highlight, you can put different stickies. Here's an example. You can put emojis on the stickies. One of the things I love about this iBooks and the Kindle app is you can highlight in different colors, and then when you look back at your notes, you can look at the different color highlights. So if you have a code for highlighting, whereas yellow is favorite quotes that I want to remember, or blue is questions that I have that I wasn't clear about, or that I want to kind of look up online because I didn't really understand that part really well. And this kind of stuff can be shared with teachers, it can be shared with parents. So I really like that color aspect. Here's what the notational support looks like in Learning Ally. It's just a kind of a sticky note. You press the button up here and it'll allow you to kind of type or write in any way in that box, and then access it through here. Not as beautiful as the iBooks. Exploring these different apps, you wonder, oh wow, why doesn't all of these apps offer all the features? But different apps excel in different areas. Here's Voice Stream. So you can highlight in different colors. You can add notes, and then when you kind of look at them, it'll show you the highlighting, and then basically your note. But it doesn't offer you the colors. You can when you look back at them, you can't kind of sort by color, but when you just highlight, it'll show you the color. When you're doing the note taking, again, thinking about how are you using this. You can do think aloud with a teacher or parent as to why would I want to use these notes, how to use these notes, actual take notes using this process in a real life context. And then think about really how this feature could help you with comprehension, with understanding what you're reading in a better way.
You can, I'll jump in again. You can make it a fun game too. You can, what I do with some kids is if I'm doing one-on-one reading is find evidence of this or find something that's this and then write a note. So you can actually make it kind of interactive and have the kids do a hunt for something that might be a comprehension question or a type of character or a setting. So the notations, and the other thing is you can have them highlight different things in different colors and make it kind of a, not a game, but something fun and interactive for them to look for as they're reading. So it makes it a little more engaging as they're reading the text.
Definitely. It's something that I work with teachers to create practice activities and explore with kids. This is kind of just an app I wanted to mention. It was recommended to me by someone that I met with at understood.org, and it is similar to VoiceStream, and it's available on Chrome, iOS, various different operating systems, and it offers a lot of the same features that VoiceStream offers at not as much price, and it's something worth checking out. Chrome, and basically a lot of the developments are within Chrome, which you can access from the web browser, but also on Chromebooks. Chromebooks are huge in schools now, so it's worth checking out. And we're just going to end with these last three strategies for reading, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the tools I use. First, customizing your environment, thinking about the actual environment in which you're reading in. You know, the lighting that you like. I love salt lamps, candles, non-scented candles. Sometimes a hoodie will help kids kind of get into their zone of reading by taking away the peripherals. Music, again, not music that necessarily has words, but kind of it sets a mood, sets a rhythm. There's a cool website, focus@will.com, where you kind of answer some questions and then it recommends a type of music based on the questions that you answer. And then and you can do all that for free. They charge you if you want to get more of their music, but you can take the test and then access that type of music online for free. Quiet space. This is something that really has driven me crazy. I'm very susceptible to low frequency sound. I once went over a friend of my wife's, and they had their smoke alarms that it was beeping, and it was a very low frequency, and no one else really heard it but me. And I really asked that if they could change the battery of their smoke alarms. And it was this whole big thing, but I couldn't function in that environment. So refrigerators also sometimes make that noise. Clocks, finding the environment that works for that specific sensitivity or need. Cushions, when we're thinking about tactile surfaces that give tactile feedback. So chairs, if I'm sitting in right now, a swivel chair that has a cushion on it really allows you to kind of get the tactile feedback. And then some kids or adults prefer movement seeking environments, where a coffee shop, or it could be a boardwalk, someplace where there's a hustle and bustle to it, and it kind of just helps them flow. So experimenting with that, even like different types of chairs could help. Bouncing chair, standing desk, standing tables. Here's a screenshot of the Focus at Will main page. So you kind of see it's attested by a lot of the major companies. There's a lot of text on here. I'm kind of just going to highlight real quick. Helping kids choose books that are meaningful to them. I'm going to give you some kind of some websites, and then maybe suggesting a few books at the level they're reading, maybe working with them through a few of these sites. This is Goodreads. Goodreads is like a social network for books. I go to it all the time when I hear about a book. You can read, write reviews. You have to be 13 years old to actually read and write reviews, but you can explore the site without being that age. You can follow your friends. Quality site. It is the social network for reading. For younger kids under 13, they can create accounts at Biblionasium. We use a lot at our school, and it's same concept as Goodreads. Recommendations and a lot of opportunities to explore books. And then lastly, minimizing threats and distractions. Finding that comfortable place where you are going to feel good about reading. for me, it's, places that aren't around people so much, because then that will lead to disruption. People asking me questions, or maybe me wanting to talk with them. So we work with this with different kids in our school, allowing the place to be somewhat self-selected, peaceful, isolated, and lastly, familiar. One of the things I use is a timer to sustain focus. I use this for reading, but I also use this mostly for writing. This is a great app called Be Focused. You can get it for a computer, or you can get it for your phones. And it's basically just a time tracking app, and you can track different tasks, and then look at basically what you've done. I use it for my my dissertation writing. It really helps me feel good about what I've been writing and how much I've been accomplishing. And you can track by like work session, and you can set the number of how long a work session is. And when you get there, it congratulates you, which is wonderful. I just want to thank everyone for being able to attend tonight. I want to help you with whoever it is you're working with in order to help them with digital text and improving literacy. I want to just say big mahalo to Kavita and the board, the HIDA board, for this opportunity. It's really been a pleasure, and I want to be in touch and continuing to help. Please feel free to reach out to me. This is my email, and thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy.
Actually, do we want to check and see if anybody has any questions first?
Oh, yes.
We have a pretty quiet group on the chat box, and so if anybody has any questions, feel free to type in, or you can unmute your mic and ask John. We'll give folks maybe 30 seconds to see if anybody jumps in.
Sure.
And also, for those of you who may not have seen the chat box, in the chat box, you will see also the links to John's handouts and his slides if you want them for future reference. I think we're good to go. So you want to wrap up, Kathy, and then we can see if anybody has any questions meanwhile.
Okay, wonderful.
Ask where the links are to the audio again?
Oh, yes.
No, the handouts rather, sorry.
Yes, I'll put the links in the chat box. Can you see the chat box, whoever asked that question?
I don't see, I see just people's, the images and boxes, but I don't see a chat box, no.
If you go to, on your Zoom screen, if you mouse over it, you'll see a icon that looks like a little chat icon. If you click that, you'll see a chat box.
Okay, I see that.
Okay, so I'm putting that John's handout, a link to his handouts there now again. Yeah.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Yeah, and John, he's gonna keep those up so you can look at them anytime. You can download them anytime.
Definitely, I highly recommend it. They provide a great overview. We looked at things kind of at a microscope type level, really kind of tediously. But if you want an overview and comparison of the different apps, check out the handout.
And I just want to say 2 people in the chat box have talked about the Hawaii State Library having free ebooks as well that you can check out with your library card. And Sandy, I think, put a link to that in the chat box. I'm going to paste that again so that for anybody who didn't find the chat box earlier, here is the link to the ebooks on the Hawaii State Library system. It's really cool. All you need is your library card and you can download it onto your device.
Thanks for sharing that resource. Switch over to Kathy.
Okay. Well, again, thank you, John. That was incredible. This was an amazing, informative, interactive presentation, and I personally learned so very much. I'm excited to use some of those really awesome apps that you showed for us, so thank you so very, very much. Many thanks to Margaret Haiga and Dr. Kavita Rowe for her tech support tonight. She is our guru, and we appreciate her very much, so thank you so much, Kavita. Before we close this evening, I do want to share some very exciting information about an upcoming event you will not want to miss. If you see on your screen there, it's information on our annual fundraiser, and it's being held April 20th from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Oahu at the Royal Hawaiian Golf Club in Kailua. Please share this information with your family and friends for a fun-filled evening. including entertainment, dinner, a silent auction, and lots of prizes in which all the proceeds benefit Haida and supporting literacy in our community. Participants, please see, and John, you can advance the next slide, thank you. Please see this link here to complete our evaluation survey for this webinar. It has 8 questions and will take you about 3 minutes to fill out. We appreciate you taking a few moments to provide useful information for us so that we can receive your feedback and help us plan future webinars and workshops. Finally, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and visit our website regularly to learn about upcoming events. On behalf of Haida this evening and the program committee, we sincerely thank John for sharing his expertise. Margaret, Kavita, and all the participants for your time and commitment to help struggling readers and those who teach and parent them. We will leave our link up for a few minutes for those of you who may need to finish it up later, or we will also be sending a follow-up email for you to complete the evaluation at a later time. So John, if you could just maybe go back to our link for just a moment there, perfect. So we'll leave that up there while we just wish everyone a wonderful night, and thank you again for everything you do for our readers.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
So we'll hang out just for a little while longer if anybody has questions, and if you don't, you can you can leave the meeting just by going to the bottom of the screen and saying leave meeting.